the fight between the ratings for the NFL and the college football playoff, really no contest. We thought as much, right? We knew this was going to be a battle that college football was not going to win head to head because no one beats the NFL when it comes to the ratings. And it's also in the head to head comparison, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, they're not going to have the college football playoff against NFL games. But we did see that in the first round. ESPN sold off the rights to TNT for the games that went head to head with the National Football League, and for good reason, because the ratings were 2-1. Story at outkick.com. The Kansas City Chiefs game from week 15 ends up with a 7.4 compared to a 3.1 for Penn State and SMU. David, you and I haven't had a chance to really chat about this, but the numbers and the head-to-head numbers here, a lot of it's blowouts because it's not like some of these games in the NFL are great football games, but they're close. They're tight window football games, and they're on big networks. We're not going to see the head-to-head competition in moving forward if college football can help it. But in this case, they couldn't because the NFL chose to go with Saturday games. They're going to win if it's NBC and Fox against TNT. But I would be curious if these games were closer, what the numbers would look like for the first ever college football playoff. The blowouts didn't help. And I know that the college football playoff reported, and I think some of the TNT also put out there in ESPN, that they averaged around 10 million viewers. But we're talking 20 million for the Chiefs game. And you put Taylor Swift on the screen, that's going to help.
Yeah, the big thing for me when you were looking at, just trying to compare these games, both those NFL games were very competitive, kind of actually a game worth watching. And as you mentioned with the blowouts in college football, they got out of hand quick. And
Fast.
it was not a situation where I think I turned every game off except for Clemson and Texas after the first quarter. That's like, it was like, I was like, all right, this is over. There's no
Yeah.
point in even continuing to watch. I, I do, I am curious to see kind of how they play this as far as wanting to go head to head with the NFL, because, the NFL has been using that Saturday for a while. And with the games being scheduled for Christmas, which happened to be on a Wednesday, they had to get out ahead of that to where those teams had enough rest. And I know like Mahomes was complaining about like 3 games, 11 days, but it'll at least next year we shouldn't have a game on in the middle of the week like we
Sure.
saw this year. So it could be something where they might not use that Saturday as much, but I think it's, just seeing these ratings, it's more on the college football playoff to move versus the NFL. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, man. I think they're going to try to avoid it as much as they can. Keep in mind, it's the NFL that sets the schedule after the college football playoff is set, because we know the dates moving forward, and a lot of them are Saturdays. I want to see these games on Saturdays, especially the first round games on campus. That I don't want to play those games on a Tuesday, for instance. I don't need this to be Maction. But if you're Fox, if you're NBC, and you're going head to head, if you're CBS, you're going head to head with ABC and ESPN. Yeah, you're going to put Patrick Mahomes on there. And look, all these networks that are in bed with the NFL, and they're all of them, they get to put in requests for games that they want. CBS
Yeah.
year after year, if Kansas City and Buffalo are playing, that's going to be their game. They're going to get Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes because that's been their consistent game that they've always called, Nance and Romo. They did it again this year, and they crushed it on the numbers. They put CBS NFL Today in Buffalo outside in the cold, and put that up at a big broadcast, and played it to the entire country in the late afternoon window. They request that, and so all these networks want right now. They all want Mahomes. They want Kelsey. They want the ability to show Taylor Swift in the box. That if ABC and ESPN have the college football playoff and it's on a Saturday, you better believe that in a primetime window, the NFL is going to assign Kansas City right now to Fox or to, in this case, CBS, and put that on that Saturday head to head because they're going to pull the numbers. And the NFL wants to flex a little bit on that too. I think the college football playoff can try to all they want to avoid it. I think the opening round games we may see more head to head moving forward because of that. But that's also why they're moving. They're going to move to 16 teams, and they've given ESPN the ability to lease these games out, to outsource these games, and have other networks come in and pay. Turner's doing it because if you can't get the NFL, the next best thing is going to be college football playoff, and that's it. So while you're still pulling in a 3.1 for a blowout game between Penn State and SMU. If the format's better, you're going to pull better numbers. And I think they need to change the format.
Yeah, and I hope people don't overreact whenever they see the numbers, because I think the numbers will actually be a lot better next Tuesday and Wednesday for New Year's Eve and New Year's.
Oh,
because
yeah.
you're not competing against anything, and they're going to be like, "Oh no, this is fine." But I am concerned, with Boise State, Arizona State playing.
Me too.
I mean, we could see some more blowouts in that regard. I do think Notre Dame and Georgia is going to be close, but that's just the style of play for those two teams. But I think we're possibly in line for several more duds, and
the numbers will be better too because
rough.
they're going to they'll simulcast these games, right? I mean, we're going to see this on ESPN, ABC, all of it. At least that's my impression of how they're going to do it. The second round games, no competition, but I mean, we could also. You're right. The duds. We're going to see Boise and Arizona State play. Does the extra time off give them the ability for the advanced scout to actually do some things coaching wise to better execute these games than what SMU did on the road or what we saw from Indiana against Notre Dame? The Tennessee Ohio State game, that's just bad luck for the network, for the numbers, bad luck for the fan. If you have no dog in the hunt and you want to see a good game, you can't do much better than the head-to-head matchup there in round one. So yeah, maybe Boise, or they need an upset. They need one of these teams to pull the upset. Otherwise, we're all going to be clamoring for a better format. Because the blowouts have always happened in the playoff, though. College football playoff has always had blowouts especially in the semis. We've seen it in the championship game too. There's a small group of the haves, and everyone else is the have-nots when you get to this level. It's tough to get to that top three tier. The top three teams in the country that dominate college football, and especially at home. We didn't really see, those traditional powerhouses play. We didn't see Bama, Georgia, haven't seen Oregon yet, but Ohio State took Tennessee to the woodshed, lack of execution, and I thought Heupel got outcoached.
He did.
And then, SMU and Indiana, we're unlikely to see them there on the routine basis, whereas you have the powerhouses and the big conferences taking care of business. So I think the blowouts are something that are going to happen, but the country's going to watch football. We're just going to watch the NFL over college football. We always have as a sports consumer country. So, we'll tune in and we'll pay for Netflix to then give us ads in order to watch the NFL.
Well,
by the way, I thought the NFL on Netflix was tremendous. I didn't have any issues whatsoever with the feed. I know there was some glitches early on in like pregame and things like that. But look, the broadcast itself being praised for pristine picture quality, lack of glitches, all that. I said at the time, and Chad and I were discussing this. I thought the issues that they had with the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight actually ended up being a great thing for Netflix because they got to see what they could and could not do. They also knew they were going to have CBS come in, and CBS was going to take care of the production elements of the game itself. And with all of that they could put that aside and focus on, okay, we had 60 million some odd people tune in the United States to try to watch this fight that no one could, actually watch for more than 5 minutes without seeing the buffer sign and see what type of consumer streaming load you could take on what you could and could not manufacture for your subscriber. Because on top of that, you're still having people tune in to watch different shows or download movies or whatever. And they have 300 million subscribers worldwide, a global audience that, they pulled off very well. I was impressed with what Netflix did. I love the picture quality. I love the graphics. I thought the broadcast itself was very good. Ian Eagle and Noah Eagle, that was cool yesterday. Overall, a standing ovation for Netflix. And by the way, the NFL on Christmas Day is here to stay. We're never going to have a Christmas Day without the NFL now. I'm here for it. The numbers are too good. The money's too good. I think Netflix paid $150 million per game for the rights to that. And with all that, we as a consumer clicked, I understand. I don't know if you got the same thing. Whenever I logged in, it said, hey, we're giving you live events. Congratulations for paying us $25 a month. And oh, by the way, you need to click this and say that you understand that we're going to give you live ads now. It also gets the NFL to a global audience on a holiday that is celebrated across the globe. They can own this, and Netflix is trying to own it, and they have. They owned it yesterday for sure. Congratulations to them. They crushed it.
I got a hot take for you here, Hut. You mentioned the Paul Tyson fight. I mean, we saw that was a sham. You talk about just the fight itself.
It was a sham.
And so I think Netflix, they set themselves up for failure just to knock it out of the park whenever they had the NFL come into play. Because if you look at NFL fans, they know NFL fans are going to tune in regardless. They're going to find a way to watch it. And a lot of people, they've already got the Netflix, and it's with it being on Christmas Day, people are at home, right. They're with their families, they're going to turn it on. And so it goes back to the saying that there's there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Yeah, right.
And so I just saw like as smooth as that transition went, from all their games and, the CBS, they're broadcasting. I thought they did a really good job across the board. And it just goes back to with them knocking it out of the park with so many eyes on them for this, they're going to try to obviously continue into the live sports. Do you think they try to get in and sublease a game from ESPN for the college football playoff?
No, yes, absolutely they do. So would Peacock, so would Paramount Plus. I see all that because again, they want the NFL because the NFL is they're pushing they're going to country, global initiative. And they can reach that through the streaming platforms. They're all for it. You want the live ads because you can have the subscriber and you can retain, I think 60%. There was a 60% retention for Peacock on the playoff game between the Texans and the Chiefs that played in round one last year. It was Chiefs and Browns maybe that had that game. I can't remember who the Chiefs played. The Chiefs won. I know that. Point being, this is not going anywhere, and Netflix wants football. We're all going to tune in for that. And Netflix doesn't need the retention. They've already got the subscriber. They want the ads. And we'll sit through it. Football's DVR proof. Live sports, DVR proof. That's the key with all of it. We're going to bitch and complain about having ads during Squid Games. But we're not going to complain because we're used to it. We're conditioned to it to go to commercial every 5 minutes or go to commercial after a kickoff. So they're making a ton of money off of it. Easily.
Yeah, one of the few mistakes they had early on was, I guess, Mina Kimes was in the middle of making some point, and they just cut straight to the promo for Squid Game, which I'm all for, man. Like season 1 was great. Season 2, I checked this morning. Every single episode is out. Once I'm clocking out today. Like I'm just going to go and try to binge watch as much as that as possible. I will be done with that show not before we reconvene tomorrow, but definitely before we reconvene on Monday.
I'm sure Mina blames OutKick for being cut off mid-sentence for going to the Squid Game promo. But I mean, there was a buffering sign that was on one of the. I didn't sit through all the pregame stuff. The broadcast went off without hitch, without any problems. Uh, yeah, cutting off Mina Kimes. I mean, I'm sure. Again, imagine behind the scenes. She's publicly going after someone who over the weekend was just, or I say over the weekend. Yesterday felt like Sunday to me. On Christmas, she was retweeting some listener or viewer of Dockich that was responding to him and said, "Can you
Had,
imagine like being this guy responding to Dan Dockich of all people about me?"
yeah,
Yeah,
it
I
was
was like,
something with
man,
like DEI hires.
yeah, yeah, and I was just, yeah, exactly. And I'm thinking, man, way to make everything about you. It's just annoying. I can't watch her now and not think about her trying to make it a twisted about her. That's the problem. Because before all this, uh, she was just not just a talking head on ESPN. She was on there as one of the experts. That's fine. I didn't view her as anything but that because that's how she was presented. She presents herself in a different way. Like I don't know, just about everything but football or whatever she's covering at the time.
It's one of those
So
things where yeah, she's continuing to try to branch out whenever I think most people would advise her not to branch out.
yeah, speak your mind and do whatever you want. Like um, I don't want to. I'm not trying to say like cancel Mina Kimes, but I think she goes around trying to cancel everybody else with instead of trying to actually be and do what she's about or what I used to view her as. Now I just think it's more so looking for a reason to join the controversy a bit, which is unfortunate. Yeah, mid sentence though, cutting off for the Squid Game promo. You were telling me Squid Game is back today. It's
Mm-hmm.
officially back today.
Yep.
I actually recently re binged it
Okay.
because it just randomly played after one of the movies I was watching or something, and woke up. It was in like episode 3 or something.
It's when it's
And
getting good.
right, no kidding. It took a while to get to the point there, but once it gets going, it's going.